moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Netterville, will you please call the roll to establish a quorum? Here. Here.
Here.
Thank you. A quorum has been established. Board, you have before you the agenda for tonight's board meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great. The agenda is approved. It is now time for recognitions. Ms. Harris Turner.
Thank you, President Cosby, and good evening to the School Board of Education and Dr. Fowler. Our first proclamation is for World Autism Day, which was actually April 2nd, but the month of April is Autism Acceptance Month. The latest data shows 1 in 44 children is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, and Hoover City Schools proudly serves approximately 330 students who have autism. Our district autism specialist, Kelly Underwood, is here tonight to accept the proclamation. Please give her a hand. The next proclamation is for the month of the military child, which is sponsored by the Department of Defense, Military, Community, and Family Policy each April. The month of the military child recognizes the unique challenges that children in military families face. They endure deployments just like the parent who stays behind with them. Hoover City Schools has approximately 216 students who are part of military-affiliated families, and we recognize the daily sacrifices and challenges these students and their families face. Last week was National Assistant Principals Week, sponsored each year by the National Association of Secondary School Principals. It's a week to recognize the vision, leadership, and support of these educators. High-quality, talented, and caring assistant principals help form the backbone of Hoover City Schools. Are there any assistant principals here with us tonight? If so, please stand and let's give them a round of applause. They are on our website on the Board of Education page if you want to look at them. So our first recognition tonight is for Bumpus Middle School Cadence Show Choir. Choral Director Lindsay Walker, please come up with your choir members. Cadence has had an excellent school year. The show choir won second place in the 2022 Capital City Classic in Montgomery. And other accomplishments this year are their superior rating at the Contempo Choral Festival, second place at the Albertville Diamond Classic, third place at the Jasper Foothills Show Choir Classic, and straight superior ratings at the State Choral Performance Assessment. Join me in congratulating these very talented pictures in the hallway of everyone a part of the recognition after we finish this segment. So next up, Hoover High School's DECA students and advisors, please come forward. We want to recognize these hard-working business students who were winners at the DECA State Career Development Conference. They put in long hours of prep time outside of their regular business class to prepare for a 100-question exam or a 10 to 20 page report and a case study. Many of these students will represent Alabama at the DECA International Career Development Conference in Atlanta this month. Is that accurate? This month? And Hoover High has another state DECA officer, Sarah Hancock, was elected Alabama DECA District 1 Vice President for 2022-2023. Please join me in congratulating these. High School had 3 students make the All-State Band this year, and all 3 of those students were selected first in their band. That means they beat every other player in their band from across the state. Director of Bands, Mr. Craig Hagel, please come forward with your winners. So we have J.P. Optimort. He plays the euphonium in the red band. Tracy Lee plays the flute in the blue band. And Madeline Hagel plays the horn in the red band. So simply making all-state band is huge, but for all 3 of them to finish first is just outstanding. So we are very proud of you. Please give them a round of applause. All right. I love that picture. Hoover City Schools 2022 Girls Engaged in Math and Science GYMS Expo was held at Berry Middle School last month. Over 250 students participated in the GYMS Expo, and more than 200 parents were there to support their students. The girls were engaged in experimental activities related to STEM. Could all of our GYMS teachers please come forward to be recognized? Go above and beyond to ensure the girls are exposed to exciting STEM opportunities. We thank you guys, thank you ladies so much for your leadership and your dedication to STEM education for our students. Okay, Hoover City Schools has 2 teachers that received awards during the 2022 Speech and Hearing Association of Alabama Convention. Ms. Chapman and Ms. Hayes, please come forward. Candace Chapman, speech language pathologist at Deer Valley Elementary School, was selected for the honors of the association, which is for an individual whose contributions in the field of speech language pathology has been of such magnitude that they are recognized throughout the professional community. This award is for a person who has served with excellence as a speech language pathologist. Chapman has made a significant impact during her career and contributed a great deal to the Speech and Hearing Association of Alabama. And Marsha Hayes, speech language pathologist at Brock Gap Intermediate School, was selected for the 2022 Loretta G. Brown Award for Speech and Hearing. That award recognizes career success in speech and language pathology in Alabama schools. She is very knowledgeable in her field, an excellent clinician, and speech and language pathologist within Hoover City Schools. Look to her for guidance. Ms. Claire Jones Moore, our District Director of Instructional Support, says she's proud of her team members who are worthy recipients of these prestigious awards. So congratulations. Thank you very much. That concludes our recognition.
Great, thank you so much. congratulations to everyone that was recognized as the best part of the whole night, always. All you back row people, like in church, you can think on that. We have plenty of seats.
That used to be the best they could find, but now it's changed.
I was back to a Baptist
Okay, we are now moving on to the consent agenda. Dr. Ballard?
Thank you, Ms. Tyson. Thank you, Board. On the consent agenda this evening, there's 6 items. The first item is a set of minutes, which was a regular board meeting that was conducted on March 8th, 2022, and a special call meeting that was conducted on March 22nd, 2022. The second item is this proposal for the summer work schedule for 12-month employees. This work schedule begins on June 6th and goes through July 25th. And just in a brief few words, it's where our staff goes to 4-day work weeks and 10-hour days. The next is a suggestion to you and recommendation that you would consider the 2022 textbook committee. The textbook committee is comprised of teachers, parents, and administrators throughout our district. Fourth is a bid for your consideration, and this is for our child nutrition program for wall graphics, and it pertains to Spain Park and Hoover High School. Different graphics that show where the pizza bar is, where the Crispino bar is. Don't want to get any of that confused here in the local school. Next is obsolete items. There is a steamer at Greystone that has served its purpose, and we would like to take it off our capitalized equipment list. And lastly is a job description for a human resource specialist that will work in our central office with Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Williams and Dr. Pate have been working with Dr. Dodson, Dr. Lamar, and myself on getting our HR department in line with what will best serve our new director, Ms. Williams. And this is a money-saving matter and something that we think has great potential. And my hat's off to Christy and her staff for working with this. So, Board, with that being said, I do recommend approval of the consent agenda items listed before you.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as recommended by Dr. Fowler? Do I have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions about any of the items? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved.
Thank you, Ms. Tosny, and thank you, Board. The next item for your consideration on the action items is our personnel action items. And I do see Dr. Payne is here, is Ms. Williams, is right there on the front row with our attorney, Carl Johnson. And so,
As it should be.
as it should be. So at this time, Board, I would recommend the personnel action items that are listed before you and offer that Ms. Williams is here to answer any questions that you may have regarding the personnel actions.
Do I have a motion to approve the personnel action items as recommended by the superintendent? Second?
Second.
Any questions from the board?
Ms. Cochran, when we vote, I'd like to make a comment.
Perfect. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Just a quick comment, Preston Sanford was one of the defensive custody at the high school, with Stan Hobbs, and on the Parks and Recreation Board, a real close personal friend. Preston is going up now, one of their new assistants, congratulations. It's always good when we see our students come back. He was also a teacher, still is a teacher. Come back and teach here, coach here, do extremely well, get promoted, and who knows, maybe be back home after high school. So it's always a pleasure to see our children, our students come back and also teach.
Thank you. The personnel action items are approved.
Thank you, Ms. Tosny, and thank you, Board. The next item for your consideration will be business action items, but before I make that recommendation, I'd like to call our CSFO, Ms. McCass, to do a pirouette and then come to the platform.
Thank you, good evening. I would like to start with Hazel for March 2022 with $8,934,525.11. Cash disbursements for February 2022, $3,740,654.04. And in your packet, please note that is the summary and general purpose financial statements for the month ended February 28, 2022. For FY 22, 63.13% of budget revenue has been received for the month ended February 28, 2022. Remember, university schools received the majority of ad valorem tax receipts October through March, and as we move into spring and summer, those tax receipts will begin to decline. The results of operations represent 5 months of activity. Accordingly, we would anticipate having spent approximately 42% of the budget for recurring expenditures. At this time, general fund expenditures are 38.85% of budget. For the 5 months of activity, current month's reserve is 11.21. This too, however, will decrease as ad valorem tax collections decline for the end of the year. In February, we made payments for continued flooring upgrades in various schools, architect fees related to our restroom renovations, as well as principal and interest payments on our outstanding debt. Special revenue fund expenditures for 5 months of activity were $11.3 million, or 37.75% of the budget. And again, the majority of federal funds are expensed during the school year and request for reimbursement for a month in arrears. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McKay. Board, at this time, I would recommend approval of the business actions that Mrs. McKay has just discussed with you.
Do I have a motion to approve the business actions as recommended by the superintendent? Do I have a second? Second. Any questions from the board? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Business actions are approved.
Thank you, Ms. Tosny. Thank you, Board. The next item for your consideration is a revised 2022-23 school calendar. A couple of items that I would like to call to your attention. If you look at August 4 and 5, we have designated August 4th and August 5th as district professional development days that can be flexed in the summer. So if a teacher were to attend a ELA workshop regarding the new textbooks on August 5th, then she could use, on July 5th, then she could use one of her flex days. And that way we're getting our professional leave in the summer. We're getting more professional development out to our teachers and getting more professional development in the front end of the school year. The second thing that I would like to call your attention to, and this will certainly help my inbox, my email inbox, I am recommending to you that we have 2 weeks at Christmas this year. And that has been a big item that I know has concerned a lot of people, and it was a concern of mine also. I do recommend approval of the revised 22-23 school calendar.
Do I have a motion to approve the revised 2022-2023 school calendar as recommended by the superintendent?
So moved.
Second? Any questions? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? The revised school calendar is approved.
Thank you, Ms. Towson, and thank you, board, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank Kelly Lane personally in public for the hard work that she did getting our school calendar ready for the board's consideration. At this time, Matt, I would like to call our operations director, Matt Wilson, to the podium. Matt, the first item that I will be making a recommendation on is for contract with an architect for Bumpus Athletic upgrade. Will you fill us in on that, please?
Yes, that project is relative to the football field. It does not have any stadium seating, it does not have press boxes, it does not have this. We're looking at handicap field, also adding multi-level storage building, as well as a common restrooms to the entire athletic facility, along with electrical lighting, school lighting. We had that entire thing we had placed for games.
And long story short, is we provide seating and we would also provide lighting at that stadium.
That's good.
Board, I do recommend approval of AHO architectural contract for Bumpus Athletic upgrades.
Do I have a motion to approve the AHO architectural contract for the Bumpus Athletic upgrade? Second?
Second.
Any questions?
Is Tim here tonight?
No,
Is he?
you're not.
Okay, he's also parent, children in the district, that works on the school, I think it's the so very good professional. Appreciate him.
Yes, sir. He was the architect on the restaurant renovations we're doing right now, as well as the new project we did last year. And we're engaging with him now for restaurant facilities, softball, and baseball facilities at the high school. Very good. So we work on all this stuff.
All in favor? Any opposed? The contract for the Bumpus Athletic upgrade is approved.
While Ms. Wilson is still at the podium, the next recommendation will be concerning chiller plant at Gwynn Elementary. If you can speak to that, please, sir.
Yeah, this project was modified from the original scope of work. The scope of work was an interior, full HVAC renovation of the building. We received bids last month, we rejected those bids because the bid was in 200% of what the project was. So we reduced the scope down to phase 1 project, which only includes the chiller replacement as well as the plant upgrades for that to support the chiller. We went ahead and pre-purchased the chiller with cooperative. We were concerned about long lead times, so that's on its way. We contracted and trained right now at $1,000. So what's in front of you for approval is just the installation of that, which is $201,000. Company system would also be a contract with the chiller, the cooling tower replacement for this facility right now.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Board, at this time, I do recommend approval of Conference System USA contract for chiller and chiller plant upgrade at Gwynn Elementary.
Do I have a motion to approve the contract to replace the chiller and chiller plant at Gwynn Elementary? Second?
Second.
Any questions?
One quick question, same size, tonnage, same size as the one?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The contract for the chiller replacement at Gwynn Elementary is approved.
Thank you, Ms. Towson, and thank you, board. The last item for action items is for your consideration of our district organizational chart. As you may remember, I have met in the fall with you regarding the organization of the district and how, in my opinion, that will best serve the children in the district with a organizational chart. What a lot of people don't know, I think the board probably already knows this, we started implementing this about 6 to 8 weeks ago, trying to run our office by using this chart without anybody knowing what we were doing. And we were doing that just to make sure that there weren't a lot of glitches, to make sure that it was a smooth transition. There will still be some transition to make, but we feel that this organizational chart gives the span of control for superintendent and others in a manageable context. Also, one of the proudest things on this is a beefed up instructional department. And we're very pleased with this, and we'll work this, if the board approves, we'll work this organizational chart. If we see that we need to make changes, then we will come back to the board with a revision. But at this time, I do recommend approval of the district organizational chart.
Do I have a motion to approve the organizational chart for the district as recommended by Dr. Fowler? Second?
Second.
Any questions? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The recommendation to approve the district organizational chart is approved.
Thank you, Ms. Tosley, and thank you, board. As we move into our next section on the agenda, superintendent reporting and information reports, I'd like to start off by saying a thank you to Ms. Wing, Ms. Bako, your hospitality committee, and your students for the gracious reception that you have given us and for allowing us to come to your school and have our board meeting and to tour your school. I tell everyone that this is a great school with a great culture, and we're very pleased to be here. And I know it's a lot of work to get ready to host the company, and we appreciate you doing so. The first item that I would like to talk about informationally, this time I'd like to ask our Chief Learning Officer to come to the podium, Dr. Chris Robbins, and to talk about textbook adoptions. At this time, there is no recommendation. This is information items only.
Thank you, Dr. Fowler, board. In your binder is a listing of the recommended ELA adoptions from the Hooper City Schools textbook committees. These committees have met multiple times over the last 3 months to review possible selections and to find the selections that best meet the needs of our students and our teachers. Many thanks to the teachers and our parents and administrators who served on those committees. Historically, the State Board of Education will issue a thorough listing of K-12 textbooks, and then local committees will move forward with adopting from that listing. So this year, the board did issue a listing for grades 6 through 8, as well as 9 through 12. And as you can see, we are recommending these choices from our committees for the 6 through 8 and the 9 through 12. However, only one K-3 option was issued for consideration to the state board from the literacy task force. So this put our school districts in a position of having to review and adopt their own K-5 ELA materials. And after a thorough review and consideration of many different resources, our textbook committee has recommended Benchmark for your consideration. This product is a comprehensive product. It aligns fully with our state standards, and it fulfills the science of reading requirements that are outlined in the Literacy Act. Instead of piecemealing our English language arts curriculum, as we have done to this point in kindergarten through 5th grade, this resource really fully integrates reading and writing lessons, comprehension resources, vocabulary programs, phonics. It also features a nice 50-50 mix of fiction and nonfiction reading resources and more. It's worth noting that many of our very close surrounding school district textbook committees also came to the same conclusion independently. And so we have been, of course, since working very closely and also collaboratively with these school districts during this adoption process. So these are the 3 resources that are put forward for your review and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins. I'm sure that the board will look through this list and that before we make a recommendation, that they will have questions to come back to you. Much thanks to you and to the committee that serves free rights, and it's yeoman's task having to review all these materials and make sure that they are aligned with our state standards and also with the literacy committee. Board, before we move to the next topic, are there any questions that you would have initially regarding this, or perhaps you want to wait until you've had more time to study?
That's all I made. I promise, how much discretion, the state sets, correct me if I'm wrong, curriculum, and what's that set, and then that
Yeah, that's correct. So our State Board of Education sets standards, and then we select textbooks and resources that are aligned with those standards.
a lot of times people think that you can go off a tangent or any district to it, pretty much realize with the state. And then when we know that, we do what you're doing.
That's correct. Any resource that we select or that a textbook reviews is going to align with the state standards.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. That was a very pertinent question. One thing that we want to make certain in Hoover City Schools is that we stay aligned with the standards that the state has approved and adopted for us. Thank you for asking that question. If there are no other questions regarding textbooks at this time, I will ask our CSFO to come back to the podium, and she is going to discuss with you an analysis of tax receipts and then capital outlay.
Thank you. Next month, I hope that I can present the budget amendment for FY '22. Before I do that, I thought it might be so informative if I share some information that would lead up to that budget amendment. So what I'd like to do is just walk through our existing capital outlay plan and tell you in 6 months some of the changes that I'm aware of and how that will impact the bottom line for your schools. So at this time, we do not anticipate a change in our recurring maintenance and repairs costs. Many of these projects will begin and end this summer. We have made several changes to our new construction and renovation projects, such as the cooling tower replacement of Wells Park Elementary School. The original budget reflected $1.2 million, and you'll see that reflected there. However, the bid approved was $400,000, a cost savings of $800,000, with no change in scope necessary. This savings makes it possible for us to address ahead of schedule the drainage problems and new restroom facilities needed at St. Park High School and Hoover High School respectively. It looks like the roofing project at Simmons Middle School will be delayed until summer of 2023. So you will see these funds roll to our reserve year-end. The roofing bids for South Shore Express Elementary School and Greystone Elementary School will cost the district an additional $123,000 and $27,000, with work beginning as soon as students are out for the summer. We expect to bring the recommendation for the Hoover High School Fine Arts Center to the board in June. With that said, we will carry the majority of the $5.2 million that was set aside for this project in FY '22 to the FY '23 budget. This project has an anticipated completion date of November 2023. The bathroom upgrade exceeded the funds set aside in the previous 2 years by $2 million. This additional amount will be offset with savings from the cooling tower, which was $550,000, as well as the delayed automotive wing at RC3, again, due to partners' concerns with the make of automotive supplies and equipment. Not because we want to delay it, but there's just a need to do so. This work is scheduled for the summer, with the completion date on or before 7/31/2022. The Bluff Park Elementary School Classroom addition is currently in the design phase. We anticipate having our recommendation to the board in July, with work beginning mid to late August. So with our actual fund balance of $106 million at 9/30/2021, and everything else remaining the same, I anticipate we will end the year with 7.4 months reserve. Are there any questions regarding the capital outlay? And again, I just try to reflect, here was the original
7.4. What's your comfort level? I always say to you, stay 5 months reserve. I was comfortable. So we're at 11, a little over 11 months today, but knowing that more revenue is not coming in, those more local revenue has already been received, it's going to dip into about 11.4 months until September.
Still over.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And then the next part will be tax receipts. And I'm actually happy to say that so far this year, we've received 92% of local tax receipts. So this is only focusing on local tax receipts. If you look at the property tax, we have exceeded every single category from February 2021. And right now, we're at about 2.9 million more than what we received last year. The auto tax, we're doing very well there. It's steady, but we're still a little bit above where we were last year. I will have to point out that 24 mil Jefferson County City of Cleveland auto tax, we have not received the allocation for February. So that was the one thing that I could not do. I do anticipate by the end of the year, we will see what we received last year. And then the tax that we received from Shelby County, it is also in excess of prior year's tax receipts, which is really, I think I would anticipate we would be steady, not knowing what COVID would look like for us. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see that we exceeded that $500,000 today. Any questions for me regarding the tax receipts? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Ms. McKay. And board, I would like to let you know that, and I have told you privately, but I'll say it publicly, that Ms. Tosley and our meeting tomorrow, and one of the topics that we will be discussing is to arrange a time to have a work session regarding our revenue and expenditures, and with a focus on where we're going with the new state pay raises. I will tell you that just this afternoon, Dr. Rollins, Dr. Dodson, Dr. Lamar, Ms. McKay and I spent quite a bit of time talking about our salary schedule, what we anticipate the governor will sign. At this time, the governor hasn't signed anything into law at this time. And also, we spoke to people from the State Department of Education. We spoke to people from school superintendents of Alabama. We spoke to other CSFOs, and we spoke to the executive director of ASBO, trying to get as much information as we can regarding this topic. And I will say that Ms. McKay will be in ASBO, the Association of School Business Officers for the state of Alabama, tomorrow, and then later in the week, she will be with comparable districts for a District 5 meeting regarding this also. So just to let you know that we're aware of this, we're working it very hard, and we're trying to collect as much information as we can about this before we bring it to the board. But I just wanted to let you know that that is on the horizon, and thank you, Ms. McKay, for the actions that you're taking regarding this and getting our district prepared for these pay raises. Ms. Tosley, those are the only items that I have to report, and thank you very much for the time to do so.
Okay, thank you. Board, as you know, we are charged by the Code of Alabama to recruit, select, and retain, and when appropriate, a superintendent of education, a board attorney, and a chief school financial officer. Our chief school financial officer's contract expires this year. I would like to appoint a committee of 2 board members to evaluate the service of Ms. McKay, and if appropriate, enter into contract negotiations. I have asked our senior, most experienced board member, Mr. Kelly, to serve on this committee, and he has agreed. Would someone volunteer to serve with him? If not, I will appoint someone. Thank you, Ms. Madonna. Ms. Madonna, you have the job. So Mr. Kelly and Ms. Madonna will be reviewing that, and then they will bring to us, and we will review that, the contract. So thank you very much. Our next board meeting is on May 10th at 5:30, and it's now time for public comment. And I know that hi, come on in.
I'd like to tell you,
No, you're good.
we passed a unanimous resolution for our last board meeting to oppose 4 bills that were in the legislature. Just to let you know, none of those bills have advanced, which is phenomenal. To put it in dollars and cents, okay, would cost us 43% of our local funds for the students in which we're not public school districts. So the community is owed a lot, communicating with legislative bodies. I say a lot of work. I'm one person I won't vote. They won't listen to me. They said, we'll listen to the parents, the people that reached out and communicated. That includes Dr. Fowler, his resources with the Superintendent Association, AEA, so that, I'm trying to say that, but they align with a lot of things we believe. So that all together, I think the legislative body listened. They will be back. So we've got to be ready for it. We're going to attempt to take line item reductions out of the education budget next year, so we'll try to be ready for it. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm Lisa Smith, and I'm a community outreach leader and event coordinator for Grace Klein Community. So I'm here to talk to you about Grace Klein just for a moment to see if you possibly need our support, or if you want to get involved with volunteering. Grace Klein Community is a food rescue and food distribution ministry. What food rescue means is that we are now getting all of the food from the grocery store, Trader Joe's, Sprout, Aldi, Publix, Walmart, Dixie, Chick-fil-A, Panera Bread, Starbucks, and many other restaurants. All the food they used to throw away, millions and millions of dollars worth of country a year, we're throwing it away. So now we have a system called Food Rescue, a Food Rescue app, and Food Rescue Heroes, and we're getting all that food. And last year we saved over 1 million pounds of food just in this area to be able to feed over 10,000 people a week. Grace Klein Community has a lot of things, but some things we don't have. Our intakes, interviews, and verification questions for any kind of disqualifications. The only disqualification, the only qualification you need is that you need to put food on the table for your family. Most of the people that we serve are working people who are struggling to pay rent, mortgages, car, and still put nutritious food on the table with their family. Our drive-throughs, main one is at Liberty Church on Old Rocky Ridge Road from 1 to 4 on Monday through Thursday. Anybody can come through there and get a box of food, and you can come back every single day. So that's if you need support, you can have that. We also, if you know people who don't have transportation that need food, you can, leave some cards up here, you can take a picture of it. If I don't have enough, we can have that food delivered by other volunteers. So that's the word for today, too, volunteerism. If you guys want to be a food rescue hero, you can go to our website, gracecommunity.com. Get involved, download the app, and basically what that does is tell you where the food is. It takes about an hour and a half. And I love this, and I'll take credit for this idea. Food rescue date night. Instead of going out and spending a lot of money on dinner, go rescue some food for Trader Joe's, Sprouts, or what have you. Take it to our office at 2652 Old Rocky Ridge Road. We have an app that lets you get in the door. Pick you up some food from there and go make you a meal. And this is good food. I'm talking steak, chicken, salad, Trader Joe's stuff. It's really, really good stuff. Y'all can get involved. We have serve days. If your company wants to get involved, if y'all encourage volunteerism to come out and do a day, you can come serve at the drive-thru and hand out boxes. And there is something so amazing to actually serve people and do. It's just team building as far as like you can go to some kind of motivational thing, and that's great too. But come serve with us and see how that motivates your team to get out of yourself and help other people. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. We would love for you to come work with us, volunteer with us, and we would love to serve you and feed your family if that's what you need for that. So we can do canned food drives throughout your school system as well, because non-perishables are something that we lack in, but we're getting food that the shelf life is getting shorter and shorter when they take it off. So non-perishable foods are something that we need. So if you're interested in doing a canned food drive at one of your schools, we can do that too. Just that's my information. You can email me.
Is there anybody else?
First, I'd like to say my daughter volunteered at Grace Klein and she enjoyed it, and it's a great organization. I wasn't going to speak today, but one of the agenda items, action items number B, the architectural contract for Bunkford's. I noticed one thing with my kids going to Simmons and my grandson going to Simmons. When it comes to the sports facilities, Bumpus normally plays their football games at Hoover High School. Barry normally plays their football games at Spain Park High School. So Simmons is really the only school where they play on site. And if you look at the scoreboard at Simmons, I just looked at the logo. I took a picture of it last year. And if you are in attendance at that field and you want to look at the score, you're not really going to be able to tell what the score is, except you may be able to tell how much time is left. You may be able to tell what quarter it is, but all the other lights are out. The logo is 1991, which means that not only were none of the children who played there were born at that time, but most of their parents weren't born at the time either. I asked last year, what can we do about the scoreboard? And it seems to be that it was a school issue, not a district issue. Last month, the city of Hoover gave $50,000 to Spain Park High School to donate to their jumbotron. What I'm asking tonight is perhaps we don't need to be embarrassed at Simmons when we have a guest team coming in and looking at a scoreboard that really doesn't look that great. If we can find some funds for that, and instead of the school having to raise it, give it to the school, that would be pretty awesome. And that is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.